the judges are good. That's all. Okay.
The contention, police brutality is on the rise now due to lack of supervision in the blue wall of silence, predicting internal resolution impossible. Johnson, 6 in the police world, the most brutal, the one the most violent, the problem, the amount of force officers misuse of power relates to differential treatment, unequal treatment, dependent on race on occasion. Minority police officers come forward as whistleblowers, internal sequel to inform the public. However, most of the time, police respect the code of silence, the use of supervision, stop dangerous police behavior, seem attractive. However, supervision may be naive in light of organizational characteristics of police departments. Policing is characterized by autonomy and lack of supervision. Supervisors generally cannot see the abuse. Fellow officers, the only witness, the president, responsibility to follow witnesses to come forward, but the character of police departments prevents its officers loyal to their peers, expect to remain silent. The culture of silence plagued the form of policing, and however, external checks and sources of information, such as the right to record, are under threat now due to lack of anonymity. Karen, 18, violent arrest of Freddie Gray's content camera, more filmed than police that would later be shot by media outlets, which follows months of police harassment, intimidation, doxing, and false arrests. People behind other police killings of Eric Garner, Walter Scott, Villano, Castile, Alden Sterling have also alleged retaliation, but repeatedly targeted by law enforcement. Movers detained at gunpoint without charges. Police harassment by risking surveillance footage, or serving a 40 sentence on charges of hidden more state retaliatory. He's been arrested dozens of times since the video. Tell our story tells the truth of what really happened, played an important role in empowering communities to challenge the police. And retaliation has made media witnesses afraid to come forth because police repeated lies saying victims are armed or resistant. Witnesses become waiting until an official narrative is released before publishing videos. Shows that law enforcement narratives are often not credible. Present a more powerful counter narrative and justify those lies. This tactic used effectively in Alden Sterling, Walter Scott. Additionally, fear of retaliation prevents internal whistleblowing and allows corruption to run rampant. The confidentiality is Keith Johnson. 62 penalties were supposed to be harsh to full force. The agency brought to bear on the snitcher. The case that the case offered evidence of harsh retaliation. Officers end up on a hit list. Barrett received threats which, like Blair described as colleagues threatening to kill him and his family manager. Passed confidential information about a whistleblower's background to other managers, perpetual harassment, punishing whistleblowers impacts the police because they lose the best source of info. Corrupt practice discourages them from coming forward for most wrongdoing, leaves the wrongdoers unchecked. The serious implications when we ask to trust the police and predatory safety. 70 officers under investigation ranging from planning evidence to shooting unarmed innocent people. And only a handful could be charged because the officers who knew were not coming forward. Threat of retaliation is chilling for the prison officers from coming forward allows corrupt practices to continue. Thus, the plan text resolved. The United States federal government ought to create the right to protect the identity of confidential sources for those engaged in the process of reporting instances of police misconduct and brutality. The plan has empirically resulted in a shift to accountability to police departments. Calvin, 18, at the issue of subpoena demanding I answer question about the whistleblower who tipped probably to investigate shooting of Laquan McDonald. Were it not for that individual, we would not know the name of Laquan McDonald. Cascade events ensured superintendent police department, as well as the head of agency that investigates police shooting. State attorney Roy voted out of office. DOJ initiated investigation of Chicago police officer who shot McDonald was charged with first-degree murder. I was subpoena Van Dyck's attorney. Claimed out as a reporter, but an activist unprotected by reporters. Supposed to imagine how herring situation could be for a reporter who's not well positioned. I was a publication struck. I can only imagine assigning his attorney's hall reporters according to comparable costs on them with no showing of relevance. It would be a mistake to see quashing a subpoena legal victory for the freedom of press. Self-censorship related disguised as editorial judgment or legal prudence induced by vague legal formulations that leave speakers guessing. And the plan establishes free press rights that support our right to report keys, allowing journalists and unless it's vocation with no requirements. Plus includes only not only the right to be free from residual publication, but also an exemption from punishment and reporting. Whether civilian reporters of police are protected by freedom of the press is contingent upon that civilian recorders of police belong to the press. The court has yet to find citizen and journalists as the press. The journalists make constitute members of press in related context of reporters' privilege, and that checks police brutality and escape. It creates public accountability. Lie. 14. Luis Paulion is beaten by NYPD officers captured on video. Growing proved to be vindicating. He's initially charged with disorderly conduct or resisting arrest, but charges were dropped without the video. There wouldn't be anything but my word against 15 police officers. Self in video and social postings to reduce police brutality intensity. News coverage makes it feel like there's more. My sense is the number of cases diminishing. A study would noting an 88% reduction in citizen complaints and 60% reduction in use of force innocence. The plan's definition of journalism by process, not people's, getting equal access. Peroni. 9 definitions journalists should focus on process journalism. Hearings with journalists centers debate about journalism. This only protects big corporations definition because they still result in traditional media instead of protecting the process. A few states about North Carolina defines journalism. If any person coming near anything engaged in businesses gathering, recording, or processing information or any dissemination via any news media. Enter cop watch from below or Seuss valence acts as a reverse panopticon, turning the state's tools against itself. 17 cop watchers to convene upon police officer reverse panopticon creates a conversation space created by multiple sub-officers looking back. Whites are uncomfortable in the space they have and extend their shape. Cop watchers raising their video camera to look back, potentially unsettle this dynamic. Cameras are used to cast a demarcating gaze. Seuss valence gaze marks a line through the space which between the subaltern and hegemonic force. It becomes a balancing force against racialized surveillance. Such forms of resistance can be traced back to the era of slavery as the necessary ones of underside cop watching can be traced back to the protests of the 60s. The material forms of rebellion are pre-ups to any method that wants to access the path of change. Patrick subversion can occur by exploiting evidence of the law. The acts of resistance consists of actions that open heterotropic space of autonomy, which is source of alternative. The side resistance always try to position itself against the hegemony. Resistance requires sides. The sides disable as the position. This side makes it act possible, and the act by which means by which we become over transport a potential side must facilitate critique of existing power which can be used by itself through interaction with the others. The sides resist to carve out space of hope that allows to imagine social alternatives. Framework the standards of maximizing expected we prefer a debate should focus on material balance, the only risk of model curry. 14. Ideal theory applies to moral theory. Ethics is set against factual issues. The conceptual concept between what emerges as actual problems. How we frame such problems. The theoretic is the most obvious call for an anti-ethical paradigm. The idealization one necessarily has to abstract abstract away theories threaten any real discussion about the common nature of person, which necessitate to handle policy and change of value and predictability, are seeking to resolve on the basis of thought is irrelevant to actual problems, and the largest obstacles to social progress are those who are politically afraid of change. The advice of just waiter, it's too risky. A political climate is actively harmful. The goal of equal human dignity. King 63. I've almost reached the conclusion that the great stumbling block towards freedom is a moderate who's more devoted to order than justice. Conley says, I agree with you, Goldie, but I cannot agree with your method of direct action. Constantly advised to wait for a more convenient season. As long as individuals cease efforts to gain constitutional rights, because the quest may precipitate violence, plush, and attitude to distract and from the notion that time will inevitably cure all this. Progress never rolls on the wheels of inevitability. Now is the time to live for a national policy with quicksand and racial justice to the solid rock of human dignity. See if the spade card and prefer methodological pluralism within no one because of anything blacker. 14 methodological pluralism lies the hardest scene of multiple methods understand the same message. All the oscillates between different methods while trying to understand multiple perspectives. No single method can ever adequately represent the array, but each should recognize and capture details the other cannot. This means combining methods when they're deemed incompatible, range from post-construction, deconstruction to positive social science embedded. Methodological philosophy is not just the opportunity to bring in nuances, new perspective, reification. Maybe check the source. Under view 1, vote FFA when offense to a counter trip. 8 point outflux. Then it has the ability to win other layers. So the FD same ability to air 2 is 2 should when you shall play defense to 2 theory. So the FD's reciprocal layers rather more outward, more obstacle happens. B point response. The only neck can be T because after bird to be top of this, the FD's are to compensate for the next unique act about the second this asks for 8 point to give you plantex before so time to prep strategy. Think of creative ways to get to it. Means you can always move from levels. B point they get lots of radical impact on the S method with cases using the law state resolve police brutality. Link to the arguments provide confidence really bad for resisting brutality because it detracts from the legitimate reporters and every critique you get access to. The only thing that was not read was the spade evidence.
Alright, cool.
In the framework section.
Alright, everyone good?
Yep.
Let's start on the plain text. So how do you define what it means to engage in the process of reporting this?
That's the Pironi evidence. So an empirical example of this is, for example, North Carolina defines that a journalist is anyone who engages in the sort of processes that are associated with these things. The plan doesn't fixate on sort of who is a journalist or what groups of people are journalists, but rather what groups of activities would qualify people as journalists.
So in this instance, you're saying a reporter is someone who is engaged in the act of reporting against those, reporting about instances of police misconduct and brutality?
Yeah.
So do you say that this is the only people who are reporters, or are there more reporters?
Well, this is what the plan would protect, or that the sort of people that would protect.
My question is, do you think there are reporters?
What not under the plain text? I'm sorry.
Are there reporters outside of the plain text? Like that's just my question.
What do you mean by outside of the plain text?
Like, are there reporters who are not engaged in the process of reporting about police misconduct and brutality? It's a very simple question.
I'm sure there can be, but
Alright, cool. That's fine.
I don't think that's relevant to the affirmative. The affirmative is only
just
defense.
a question. Cool. Let's go to the framing. Where do you justify the framework? You just say we maximize expected well-being. Where do you indicate that that's good?
The Curry evidence says we should focus on material conditions of violence.
Curry says we should minimize violence. Why does that mean we maximize expected well-being?
I think that would be the conclusion of his argument. To minimize violence would be to maximize well-being. Just because the standard text is like worded semantically differently doesn't mean that justifies the same. So Curry would justify the same sort of conclusion.
All right, cool. What does it mean to have methodological pluralism?
Yeah, there's a really good line in the Bleecker card. So it's, for example, combining methods when they're deemed incompatible, for example, is what Bleecker would say that would look like.
Okay, what's the methodology of the AF then?
I don't think there's like a set method. I mean, there's like the AF defends the plain text. So I guess the method of the AF is like that debating about the plain is good.
Okay, so would you agree that there are methods that are bad?
Such as what kinds of methods?
Like, would you say if someone who is not black repeatedly uses the N-word to justify something, would you say that's bad?
I don't think that's a method, but yeah, I think that's bad.
Okay, so at that point, if I say you do something bad, can you just stand up and be like, oh, perm, because methodological pluralism?
Oh, yeah, the argument is that despite certain methods being like incomplete or sort of, I guess, quote unquote bad, according to you, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't sort of combine them with other methods. For example, like, that doesn't mean we shouldn't combine them with other methods in order to create a sort of, or a broader, like, a broader sort of, like, view of how things operate in the world.
Wait, so if something is inherently bad, then we should still do it?
No, that's not the argument. I think that, I don't think that the affirmative is inherently bad. Like, there's nothing, also, it's not that, even if that is the case, there's no reason why anything is, like, there's no, like, anything, no, sorry, are you, actually, yeah, that's fine.
Alright, cool.
Are you starting
prep? 2:15 left. I'll send the doc. Order is 2 off case. On case, the doc is like kind of all over the place, but I'll signpost as I go.
You said 2 off?
What?
Did you say 2 off?
Yeah. Let me know when everyone's good.
Yeah, I'm good.
And are you good?
Sure.
Orange? Mr. B? Cool.
Corporate control has seeped into every facet of honest reporting. Media is inherently influenced by the capitalist ideology. The owners of the organizations reporting can buy source issues that only face discussion inside the app. Assumes that the media is the guarantor of public interest by the use of control by those who leak the intended or intended harm. The app's reliance on confidential source to expose government corruption on is inherently flawed and dangerous for independent warrants. Right and Rogers 9. First, the owners of mass media companies have the part to control the content of the media. Journalists and journalists value the commercial and political media owners since executives have political views and the right to influence. They exercise control of the character of reporting the what issues get dealt with in order to pro business resulting from capitalist character of use ensures organizations are unlikely to report their news as hostile capitalism, second the free market systems of the market for media is competitive before people from all social classes good come together and create organizations that the bias would be weaker. The third newspapers make money because of advertising. Media orders want their newspaper programs to be consumed by affluent people for no problem. Capitalism touch with the role of cost cutting, profit maximizing, drives corporatization, cost cutting pressures have a significant impact on the quality of news and the impact is extinction of massive social inequalities. The legalistic focus guys to the root cause of their impacts far above 15. Sorry. Ecological and economic crisis and military we need to transfer about politics and intellectual fundamentals of capital incentives and do our die. We are in the midst of this capacity capitalism explosive inequality. The economic landscape is littered with our consequences like how can creating a global environment cancer like Congress for endless growth in the system. DNA is an attractive collision course of the nature of solutions that to be legislated about time times every management critical task to build transformative politics able steering away the system from constructive by such a politics must challenge the system's fundamentals and the alternative is to reject the 1AC in favor of revolutionary working class pedagogy. We activate cost that can disrupt the neoliberalization of higher education. McLaren 1. A revolutionary working class pedagogy is engaging in other techniques of pedagogy involving struggle over the protection of meeting revolutionary working class pedagogy is making critical adjustments in relation to economic conditions. Anyone pushing against superable economic conditions of revolutionary working class pedagogy underscores participation of students in self-education pedagogical conditions facilitated rural conscious nobody coming alienation. We are arguing for the teachers and for the media. This is an imposed dictatorship of the teachers. Emphasizing freedom is an important characteristic. Practices require the ability to engage in analysis of class revolutionary working class pedagogy to eventually the boundaries apart from popular consciousness. Not being class excludes other aspects that need people to themselves in many ways simultaneously, and the role of balance challenging capitalism and educational spaces that can create revolutionary pedagogical spaces that can push back against the synthesized reality, perpetuating capitalism beyond its illusory so they don't get to wait case. Next off. Interpretation: the affirmative must defend that all reporters have the right to protect the identity of confidential sources. Reporters is a bare plural indicating all instances in Evil 14. Bare plurals like to determine there's no quantifier for the noun to tell you which government is the use of bare plurals generic for certain kind of things rather than particular matters that he puts out about governance in general, and semantics are an independent voter, no way pragmatics in Evil 14. Accepting a term of invitation constitutes consent to debate the topic. No one can project a principle that requires every debate the resolutions where someone who wishes to debate the resolution has a strong claim about against changing the topic. No one has a strong claim on fairness and constraint on the pursuit of other goods. It is not just for additionally for succeeding in property. No one would reasonably prep every single nation reporter rather prefer common reporters that people specify to the rest or secondly pragmatic reason is a reason why the topic committee should change the topic interview when you're answer you are just not topical. Third, grammar is the most attractive because it doesn't rely on arbitrary determinants of what's the best form of debate, and I'll give you all the exact intertext and before we start classics. And violation is that they only defend those who are engaged in the process of reporting about police brutality and standards. The standards limits they allow substantial specification reporters justifying the infinite number of acts including student journalists at American University or small blogging website that always aids in of content mastery. Debaters learn from successive tragic iterations, so engaging debates about the same core issue challenges students innovative enough their arguments based on feedback from opponents. Justice B is prep nuanced research requires a safe point all your cases, sources, and shallow debates and precise argumentation to the prints to define about theses that disagree with everything. This prevents reduced argument testing. Anyone can consume a Wikipedia article, but the process of clashes unique to debates. C is ground coordinative generics like the terror design relations to set and midterms to set don't apply to an app that triggers a small group of reporters came to the topic about all reporters in the for sales negative prep, and D is specifically key on this topic. Negative policy grounds all already almost non-existent, specifically small issues to increase
the public the app is 100% true and uncontestable, destroying engagement of voters, education. It's the only important impact from debate we care about rather than if we were. It's also the only reason the school is fun debating, countering, competing in terms of reasonability, because reasonability causes a race to bottom because debate is keeping barely reasonable, magnifying business, second reasonability collapses to competing in terms because the question of who has a better bread line is dropped the debate for time stupidity and it's disadvantage substance, making theory the only accessible route to the ballot. Second, sets the precedent. Debaters won't be abusive and RBIs are bad versus real applicability. Winning theory is not a reason to vote them up in the rule. Proving your immediate necessary rule, not giving reward. Second, discourage checking abuse because be afraid to lose on theory. Third, RBIs study the debate on theory and sets substance because the only place that round can be decided. Always on time for me to get 2 months to talk about the topic and how to research for the majority of the debate.
Go to case.
First off, the plan text, plan flaw, audits and evaluated per other first moral judgment on whether we must take a moral obligation, which means it cannot be implemented. That means to negate no solvency because the plan won't pass presumed neg because they will have one reason to shift away from this goal. And B, textual education is key to effective policy making. In 2012, weed bill in Arkansas was rejected because it was raised incorrectly. On the solvency, the rules to curtailing surveillance fails when using confidentiality since method include induces empirically verified paranoia and anxiety, which results in a crack time with the use government begins to frame conflicts in terms of a large group identity us versus them, which means that in terms of the tropes of blackness would be perpetuated leaks and other examples prove the argument. Richio 14 notion that interesting motives of dominance within the U.S. media system moving towards doctors of political predictable ideological master narratives, counter narratives, outright critics, and other governmental pressure and other journalistic conventions that subdue were effective story trigger press and responded and attending cultural paranoia news organizations focus on their own interest government non-partisan strategy personalized WikiLeaks showing the dishonest dubious method of rhetorical posture of whistleblower itself and term masters duplicity and the media distorts images of black forces are represented as criminal and dysfunctional justifying mass atrocity. Jan 17 media presented a distorted picture of black families dependent dysfunctional white families are depicted as ability to sleep people depicting black people are played with dysfunction that creates inability such stereotypes fuel political rhetoric and form public policy to requirements organized welfare the media working pathologists black families to justify slavery requirements torture economic inequity urban justice investment to gain power ideologically of the news source of other false narratives about black families represent 59% of the point media 27% in poverty and white families 17% in media 66% were likely or 3 times more likely to be portrayed as dependent on welfare blacks represent 37% of criminals in news 26% arrested beat up portray whites so criminals 28% make up 77% of suspects abuse of treatment at least less attention from doctors are sentenced for the act is inherently people are already whistling also no impact because ground level witnesses are able to report it no matter what to the advent of recording on phones themselves. Loosen Hop 15 firemen receive a phone call mystery informant wants to talk about McDonald's shot killed by police shot 240 people over 40 spends and died and 2/3 were African American percent of the 4 said shooting was captured on camera using information provided by the whistleblower. Calvin tracked down witnesses to document called to the question of the police description of what happened. New York Times called what happened a cover up and also they don't let them stand up and say that the media that they're taking away all the right to record that would just indicate that the right to record is under attack by police who don't want recording that doesn't indicate the right is gone. On the interview first off, RBI says, A point is that it is reciprocal. You can read one in our theory. There's always a violation. Just ask the individual Kumar. Second, you have the ability to win on the app. And two, we are just way why the app comes before T6. No one cares about the B point. No one cares about fitness. So first, if we did, we just flip a coin everyone, but we don't that, which means we don't care. Second, it's arbitrary. No one knows exactly the premises of like if we win their method, if their method is bad, you reject it. They have to win a benefit to their method is constant and no solvency on the app. Federal law doesn't will ever create change.
There was a lot of stuff that you didn't read that was not in the doc, or that you did read that was not in the doc. Can you send it?
That was all accepted.
The cards that you read were exempt.
What cards?
The cards about like the media villainizes black people.
Oh shoot, did I forget to save the doc? That's my bad. Oh shoot, I didn't hold one and see in there. That's my bad. I sent it.
Okay, I'm opening it.
And do y'all want the exact interp text? If it is, there's the affirmative. What?
I would appreciate it.
Alright.
Not like now, I think I got it.
Yeah, I can just type it.
I'll write it down somewhere.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
So that's the alternative.
Condo.
Condo. Okay. The I guess the link to the critique. What about the affirmative, or what about sort of the control of the media, and that being capitalist spilled over into other forms of capitalism in the form of like environmental degradation and things like that?
Yeah, the argument is not that just like the app is the only thing that's causing capitalism. The argument is that like
wait, if that's true, then why isn't like the status quo? Like what about the affirmative accelerates the conditions of capitalism
you're
that
saying
like
that
extinction
you
and stuff
feed
like that?
into the capitalist system by granting the media additional power through confidentiality.
Wait, so the link is just that, okay, so people in the world of the affirmative can record instances of police brutality, and that causes extinction.
We would
via
say that there are
capitalism.
reporters that are not just like random people who are like filming on the cameras. We say they're like reporters who like work for the New York Times. or
Where
that
is this in the evidence?
like, I don't know why I need a piece of evidence to indicate that there are reporters that work for the New York Times.
Or, no, sorry, where are the sort of claims about reporters themselves being, like, sort of capitalist and illegal?
Yeah, sure. That's the Wright and Rogers evidence, which kind of indicates that all these big corporate media corporations are pretty bad.
Wait, the first line of the card seems to indicate a problem with the status quo, that the owners of mass media companies sort of have the power to control the media. If that's the case, then, like, what would the alternative do to resolve that?
Yeah, the alternative is an attempt to reject capitalism, i.e. in the case of this round, we would say that we have to orient our discussion away from capitalism. Like,
Sure, what would that look like in the real world?
Like,
or
we
what would
don't-
that look like for someone experiencing police brutality or being targeted by the police as a result of filming police brutality?
yeah, we would say that like it's not necessarily a question of like real world implementation. We say in round our focus is capitalist, and that is
So
bad.
nothing about the real world matters under your framework. It's just about what we do in the round.
What do you mean? Like,
So-
I'm confused. We would say that your method is bad because it propagates capitalism, and capitalism has bad
Wait,
impacts.
what about the link is to my method? The link seems to be sort of like a consequence of the plan in that like the app protects the media and whatnot.
Yeah, we would say that like your defense of the media is bad. That's capitalist.
So a consequence of the app is capitalist.
No,
That's-
we would say like the app inherently defends the media when it says you give reporters the right to do stuff.
Okay. The Uriko evidence, the second card you had, could you explain the warrant in the card?
Which one?
The Urikio,
yeah.
the second
So
card.
the Iroquois evidence does a really good job talking about how the government like gets super scared and like people get scared every time a whistleblower comes forward. It's just like, oh my god, guys, there's this like terrible thing happening, and instead
Okay,
of like
what is the
creating action-
impact of that people get scared about?
Yeah, there's two impacts. One is that the government like frames this person as like the enemy of like everyone. Like in the case of like WikiLeaks, they took Julian Assange, and instead of like looking at what WikiLeaks was revealing and trying to create material change, all that happened is people were just like, oh my god, Julian Assange is a bad person. The other implication is that the app probably doesn't do anything because it just results in people getting scared, not actually taking the actions.
Okay, starting from
And I sent the interp too.
was there a fairness voter read?
There was not.
Okay.
And in the new doc, I skipped the 8 point
The 8 point
Okay.
under what?
on case.
Okay. The Jan card about I guess the distortion of black people. What about that, or is caused by anonymous sources?
We would say like the anonymous sources specifically isn't like a link. We would just say like this is a descriptive claim that the media is racist, and so like when you operate through the media, it's racist because there are people reporting about police brutality who could be like a white supremacist or something, and they're still protected under the world of the app.
Okay.
But I'll find if I grab water real fast.
Okay, 53. I'm sending the document. Okay, it's been sent. The order is T, the app starting on the app framework, then the advantage, then the critique.
This is just at the bottom of the document.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. All the new stuff. Is everybody good? All the some.
Counterintuitive, the FA specified reporters as specified in the app plan text that they have solved solves all their limits because the issues it indicates a big issue in the little person. Context to the reporters who's in the role on the topic. Nepin is 1 point class plan to exceed depth education. We learned about one specific on the topic. Incentivizes debaters to cut better arguments and see more specific takes point. Perhaps its holders or seeks a random business passing a key to education since we said the best of class arguments on the topic in the structural side advisor. Err on the side of protecting quality firms. Class always limits as hardworkers can prep all the apps on the topic but do it can't debate an unworkable talk. Second, after shift holders means asking shift at the deck office meaning no shift since no shift law is absolute. Allison, in any shift law will have exception court finding privilege does not apply in orders to reporters necessary that their interpreters to the semantics first time mean text office generic statement law for specification Leslie although generic statements such as dogs and mammals do not express general claims do not involve quantifier generic to be expressed using generic singlets and second competing definition being pragmatic and hypercrite otherwise there would be no way to weigh between the third is that the terminal impact semantics and predictability but that just proves that pragmatic would is illegitimate skip the rest of the cards out and at least the limits arguments they for in turn they get infinite pictures that way since they move sequence of the app office decreasing education so it's the atmosphere arguments against the negative causing one area research no implications 8.29 world where research time 2 months the topic constraints from 2 French from soccer viewpoint functional limits check there be infinite apps but are infinite app advantages with large impacts third impacts from research overloads good mechanisms 10 it feels like suffering from info overload see the panel's connection the matter loss focus on information that support the app framework for the framework for the round should be decided on the sort of questions of material concepts of the affirmative I'll explain this on the critique flow but the Curry evidence justifies a form of materialism which is not good since abstract sort of theories of change that make us immune to make us ignore things that happen in the real world which is necessarily a bad thing and proves my method is good on the black card which is the only answer which should justify permanently both on the critique page the advantage. First, police brutality is real and rising, and tools state power that disproportionately affects people of color, and unchecked extends white supremacy and perpetuates cycles of systemic discrimination. Solves by guaranteeing confidentiality for whistleblowers within the agency. This is empirically increased accountability for the police departments. For example, the case of Laquan McDonald, which is our 1AC column, notice accountability and checks on power dramatically reduce brutality and solve is sufficient to solve the advantage. Their arguments, they say that the affirmative, the Urukio evidence first does not apply to the affirmative. If anything, the app impact turns this because it says that conversations about police brutality and race necessarily should make people uncomfortable and also you can see the empirical solvency which answers the majority of their arguments that people won't listen to the media or people won't trust the government. The only problem is that in the status quo these things are sort of under threat. The next argument about people villainizing black people, the media villainizing black people does not link to the affirmative since this is not about nowhere in the card is about anonymous source, rather the media in general. If anything, the affirmative is necessary to flip the script since it allows sort of people to redefine things by filming police instances of brutality against black people. The next argument, the plan flow argument. First you should reject plan flow. The F is only the first instance of the bill and it will inevitably get revised when it passes through Congress. So it doesn't matter. Their last evidence about no inherency. Their last evidence about no inherency doesn't answer the affirmative because I'm winning the uniqueness, the top level uniqueness that in the status quo reporters are under threat due to sort of police intervening with them and their confidentiality protections. The critique first where the case absolutely the after negative 6 minutes the speech time which is whatever fairness. Also the link to the critique which was explaining cross examination was just the consequence of the affirmative that the affirmative would result in sort of strengthening of the media, strengthening into the media, which should justify the consequence focus. Also, now the alternative first perm to both localized politics fail, we should reclaim the state in order to take action against capitals. The alternative against decisions in the market, which is Network Jackson. 17, localized politics should only move into language of the state have power to actually demand to unable to scale. We must take back the state. There's no alternative. The state can be rocket force to change the single mainstream institution left that change the massively cluttered capital because governments can coerce the power remains government and have coordinated policies limit cooperation's ability to serve under regulation. All the authority cooperation realize no all the institutional capacity to address systemic problems market problems. That also the case linked to critique because there is necessary to access the alternative because people in the status quo experiencing things like police brutality are unable to sort of abstract from their social position, just say sort of reject things like capitals. Also, and lastly is that the 1AC surveillance evidence indicates that the affirmative is a necessary enabler to sort of your resistance movements against the state and things like capitalism because it allows us to watch against agents of the state and hold them accountable, which was conceded in the 1AC. Yeah.
I had it written somewhere. Right. 215.
Jackson was marked at problems.
That was the perm card.
Yeah,
Alright.
didn't read below that.
Starting prep now. Which arguments did you not read on textuality?
Oh, sorry.
Was it 3 to 5?
Yes.
3, 3, and 4.
I did not read 3. Yeah, the last 3 and the last 4.
So you read the first 3.
Yes. Sorry, it's numbered.
Order is going to be overview of the round, then I guess you can fold that on the captivate, and then T. Alright, everyone good? You're good.
Yeah.
On the captivate, the alt is conditional. We're not going to go for it. And if we win a reason why T comes before K and we win the T shell, that means you don't look to the critique. Go to the T page first. Extend Nebel. Every T shell implicitly contains super interpretations. What about the one that topic means and one that the app should be topical, or the T rule? They consist the T rule by saying pragmatics over semantics, and they say we should overlook the actual meaning of the resolution for pragmatic benefits. So many of my interpretation access all reasons why the topic is good is a key stasis point that equitably divides ground between both sides and provides a predictable basis for preparation. Turns out ways that often so topicality allows the affirmative to defend anything. Legalizing weed, curtailing presidential drone power system under the negative can never engage and extend the first Nebel
extend the first Nebel evidence, which indicates
that
not plea bargaining. This is not that topic. This is
that indicates that reporter is a bare plural, which means that you have to defend every single plural. The only response here is the Leslie evidence. However, Leslie literally flows negative. It indicates that when you make a generic claim, that means you're talking about every group. When you make a specific claim, that's distinct. Read the specific card. It just says that generic statements express claims about crimes rather than claims about individuals. That means it applies to every single instance, which means that you have to defend the resolution in every instance. As long as that's true, that means it's going to be a very, very easy voter on the semantics debate, because your next argument of the semantics debate is that competing in terms means we use pragmatics as a tiebreaker. However, no, our argument is that it's not a question of pragmatics. We say that, yes, there are additional pragmatic benefits to it, but the main issue with semantics is a question of jurisdiction. They haven't isolated a reason why any of you has the jurisdiction to vote on a non-topical app. So long as that's true, that means it's going to be an easy neg ballot on the jurisdiction question. Next, go to the...
I guess we can do the analysis of why it's also semantics on first.
Even if you don't buy that, they've conceded another major justification for semantics, which is that any pragmatic justification is just a reason why the topic committee should change the topic. It's not a reason why the app is. It's not a reason.
It's not a reason why they're topical. It just proves like, yeah, we should go protest the topic committee and be like, give us better topics. It doesn't prove that they have any net good offense. For example, the November-December topic, people are unhappy with the topic, so they're protesting to change it. We just say you do the same thing, except with the wording of the topic. There's no reason to specifically key. That conceded justification means that it's not a pragmatic reason why you prefer semantics. It's just semantics good. Even if you don't buy that, we'll just go ahead and win the pragmatics debate here. If I can find the doc. All right, you know what? Screw it.
Extend the limit standard, which indicates that when you don't defend the topic, it's impossible to engage with the, it's impossible to engage because you can have any number of different apps, because there's like, either A, you can define a small subset of the resolution itself, which we say is intopical, or B, you can just defend something completely random, like we should all get torchies. Yes, everyone would agree that's probably a good idea, but that doesn't indicate that, it's something that we can debate about, on the...
Off their arguments.
First, you say solvency advocate solves 100% of limits. However, no, that solvency advocate doesn't solve anything, because that doesn't guarantee that there's a counter solvency advocate that we can use to respond to the 1 and C and B point is that we don't even have access to the solvency advocate further around. You just disclose the plan text, not the specific solvency advocate that you use, and then you say that it incentivizes clash because we cut better. You say it incentivizes. Also, solvency advocate doesn't guarantee that we can find the solvency advocate. We literally spent a long time looking for a solvency advocate this app, and we never found it. That's why we didn't cut it, because we didn't want to be abusive. Then you say clash of that we cut better. You say clash because we can cut better.
You say clash because what is this argument? Why can't I think? You say clash because we can cut better arguments. However, no, the argument is that it's impossible to guarantee that we will have access to arguments to cut against it. I.e., just because you read an app doesn't mean there's always arguments against it. Also, you say that there's an infinite number of ways you can shift out the license evidence. However, A point is you haven't indicated why it's bad for the app to shift out a neg offense. Obviously, the goal of every 1AR is to be able to shift out a neg offense. B point is that we can still resolve those issues, i.e. like there are several pieces of evidence that indicate that there are specific concrete things that happen within the topic, and C point is that you haven't justified it to this topic, but your counter-interpret isn't specific to this topic specifically, so there's no reason this applies. And then you say there's infinite picks. However, A point is that if picks were truly bad, then you could just read 1AR theory and take them out. We haven't justified a reason why 1AR theory is bad. And also B point is that why there's no reason why we why picks are specifically bad. You just say it moves engagement. However, we can still engage on the specific issue of what that is. And then you say there's no infinite case list. We say even if there's we say there literally is an infinite case list at the point where you're no longer defending the resolution. Like that's the entirety of our limit standard, which is that you can defend anything outside of the resolution, which means there's literally an infinite number of apps. And then finally you say McCandless evidence, which is that large research burden is good. Yes, we would say a large research burden is good, but we say that the app has an impossible research burden. You haven't made that distinction, which means that the app is a prior question to attempting to the T-shell is a prior question to resolving whether or not your research burden is good. And then limits is key to education. It's a question of how if we are able to engage in the round, and engagement is specifically key to gaining education in the round. That's a voter because it's the only portable impact from the debate. It's the reason debate is that school is fun debate, and then extend that you drop the debater because it's key to rectify abuse that's already in the round, and it also sets a precedent that debaters won't be abusive, and it's also key because time skew puts me at disadvantage on substance. Lastly, I guess we'll do the T versus K weighing. T is a prior question to all critical engagement. The only way we can develop true education is if there is a true discussion and have a dialogue, not a monologue. T indicates that the AF makes that impossible. So even if they win like a link turn on the critique, that's not an independent reason to vote AF.
Okay, I had 53 left. Okay. The order is the case page really quickly. Just like, and then the T stuff. And T, it's gonna be the counter interp, then his interp. Is everybody good? All judges, son.
One second, I'm putting in my stuff. Case T.
Yep. Everyone else is good.
Conceded the app is a good idea necessary to resolve instances of police brutality, the topicality against messages, err on the side of case since I'm clearly winning at the counter-interpretation, extend the counter-interpretation that the affirmative may defend, specify reporters in the specify reporters as defend reporters in the plan text that they have a solvency of it solves all your limits offense because it indicates this within the topic literature. For example, the card refers to reporters and confidential sources, so there's no reason why it's not, which answers back your argument that you cannot find it. Just do more research and cut more cards. Literally, if I was able to find this affirmative within a single day, then it proves you're able to. They say that they say that it doesn't guarantee anyone can find the solvency advocate. That's even if you can't find the solvency advocate, it's still it's still linked within the it's still within the realm of the topic, which means that you still get access to your sort of generics and so the generics which still apply. The clash argument that I'm going for is that plan focus is necessary so we learn about the sort of depth and specificity of the affirmative policy. Otherwise, whole res guarantees that the affirmative reads a sort of advantage about, for example, reporter confidentiality being good for necessary for like resolving instances of sexual assault, and the negative reads distance about like terror and midterms every single round, and none of those things interact. Whereas my interpretation narrows the debate down to one specific issue, which is necessarily a good thing. They've not done any weighing, but what necessarily comes first in education. So I will do that here. They conceded the argument that clash outweighs limits, since there's always a risk that you can do lots of work and prep out affirmatives that also apply your generic prep to affirmatives, which is necessarily good for education. But there's no risk that affirmative debaters are able to overcome the sort of structural skews involved in affirming, which was the weighing argument. Which was the weighing argument. Last second is what's the weighing argument now? Their interpretation proper. If I win the Leslie evidence of semantic, I mean that should then and if I win if they win the practice semantics controls the internal link to pragmatic interpretation of the resolution, then that means they get access to none of their offense. What the two in our story was that the app doesn't defend the topic because they don't defend the reporters as a general principle. If I win that it allows specification, then that means that they don't get access to any of the strength of link behind their arguments because the app is somewhat close to the topic. The Leslie evidence says that generic statements do not have to refer to bare plurals, but they allow specification. They can refer to sort of bare singulars, and the term reporters in the topic has no qualifier, so there's no sort of specification of what it is or what it isn't, which means that the affirmative should be allowed to specify. Also, just vote F on strength of link. The F is not debating a completely different topic like what their interpretation would say, but rather it's just debating about the core of the topic, which is the counter-interpretation offense, which proves I meet their semantics arguments. Which proves I meet their semantics arguments, and avoids all the criticism. The limits arguments I only need to win one argument, which is basically terminal defense, which is a no infinite caseless argument, which is that yes, there may be even if they with their infinite plans, none of those plans have large enough advantage areas, and none of those would be allowed under the world of the counter-interpretation, especially because they would not have a solvency advocate. So those sort of infinite asks that you talk about would not be justified and would not be a thing. So look. The round is very simple. The only way they get access to their sort of limits, you allow an infinite case list, is that the app isn't debating the topic. If I win the Leslie evidence, or at least there's a sort of doubt in your mind that the affirmative is sort of within the realm of the topic, then you should err off on the side that I defend what's within the realm of the topic. They don't get access to the sort of infinite limits stuff. They have no weighing between limits in Clash. Vote out.